Welcome back, brothers and sisters. I am Braden. This is Langley Outdoors Academy, and thank you for stopping by. Alright, guys, on this episode of the Bullet Points, you guys know we typically go after opinion pieces from the left that are typically about gun control, they're doing things like abolishing the Senate, standard fare. But today, I'm going to bring you something on the other side of the spectrum. Now, this is from the National Review. This is a conservative source. But the reason that I want to bring it to you is it's kind of reinforcing a thought I've had. And I really want to bring another perspective as well. Rather than me just espousing this belief, I wanted to kind of bounce and play off this article. It's linked in the description box below. Let me know what you guys think on this one, because as we get closer to 2022, everything changes because the politics of the situation become more and more clear and relevant to the conversation. Let's dive in. Like I said, let me know what you guys think, because this is a very interesting take. Like I said, I think it's got some merit. Biden and Dems ready their Ghost Gun Theater. Now, this was written the morning before the announcements came out from Biden. So this was kind of a preemptive article because it was announced, right? It ought to be hard to believe, but alas, it's not, that with the border disintegrating, and with it our security and sovereignty, the Biden administration and Washington Democrats are prioritizing, yes, wait for it, ghost guns. Now, I'm glad to see I'm not the only person commenting on the ghost gun fiasco with sarcasm, because it is a laughable thing. However, the next parts here are really interesting because they're setting them up. These are all the things that are going wrong. And in the next few days, I'm going to bring you some videos based around the polling, everything that's not aligning with what the administration is doing. But let me continue here. The administration's ghost gun push is anti-gun theater that will have utterly nothing to do with tampering down violent crime. Now, of course, that's 100% correct, because if you were to truly call something a ghost gun, you're talking about 1 to 2% of all crimes in the United States are affiliated with ghost guns. This isn't going to do anything. And that's something we've been talking about, because this is a focal point on something that's scary but doesn't have a large impact. Regardless if it's an infringement or not, I'm only talking about the impact. Now let's keep going. Federal gun laws do not have much impact on violent crime. However, and as Kevin has pointed out a number of times, another author, the Fed's determination to proliferate the number of gun laws is curious in light of their lack of interest in enforcing laws already on the books. Now, that's a very similar statement as what's going on in gun control states, New York, California. They have these elaborate red flag laws, extreme risk protection orders, but they're not enforcing them. They have waiting lists of like 29,000 people that they deem irreparably bad to have guns, but they aren't pursuing it at all. So they're not enforcing the laws, they're just passing them. It's almost like it's something to validate themselves and give themselves purpose, rather than actually do what they're claiming it will do, because they're not enforcing the laws. But I continue. My instinctive objection to this stuff is that Congress delegates way too much authority to the executive branch to enact regulations in lieu of legislation. Most of this regulation addles law-abiding citizens far more than it impedes criminals. If Democrats want it, they should take accountable votes in Congress, not slough it off on the bureaucracy. 100% on this point. We've talked about this for months at this point, more than a year actually. So when Biden first announced his ghost gun rules and his executive actions, we spent a lot of time, and I spoke very passionately around the idea that you as the individual have stopped them from doing gun control in Congress. They aren't passing H.R. 8 and 1446. They're not even bringing it up for a vote. In fact, Schumer is taking the coward's way out and blaming the Republicans when he has full control in the Senate and all the power to decide when it gets a vote, but he's not. You have independently relegated them to the executive branch, or bureaucracy, or legislative push. Executive branch push, DOJ, ATF. They don't have the power to do it in Congress, and the judicial at the Supreme Court is handing out rulings that are pro-Second Amendment because it's a rule and law of the land in the Constitution. So they're relegated to the executive branch, which is also subject to judicial overview via lawsuits, which is what we're also starting to see. Groups are already coming out against the ghost gun benefit, or rules they just passed out. That's what's really important. They're pushing everything to the bureaucracy of the executive branch because they don't have the power that they want. What I would say with confidence is that this will have zero impact on crime. Democrats want to pretend this theater, which they are hot to perform because it appeases progressive activists, David Hogg, John Feinblatt, Igor Volsky, Shannon Watts, all the who's who of gun control, they're all out there praising it. But again, it's not going to do what they're promising. They just wanted something to be able to fundraise off of. Because it appeases progressive activists is an anti-crime measure, not in any realistic way. And that's the big point. This situation of the ghost guns is such a small portion of the population of gun owners and of gun enthusiasts by itself. Before you criminalize it, before you make it subject to any more laws, again, these are all infringements. But the point is, this is not a broad spectrum. Every single gun owner in the United States does not make their own firearms. So you're already focusing on a group that's this small because you need a moral victory. Even though it's not going to do what you're promising, you can now go and fundraise off the fact that we made Biden do it, or I did some executive action, so vote for Democrats, even though I have the worst polling in the history of president's nominees or candidates. Just saying. Or sitting presidents. Whatever. Let me know what you guys think. Does this make sense to you? Am I on the right track here? Am I way off base? And I will see you tonight at the 9 p.m. segment. I'm Braden. See you later.